Thank you so much for listening to Give It to the People Live. We appreciate every one of our listeners. We want to make sure that you continue to love this show. So feel free to send us suggestions to giveittothepeople.com and also give us a 5-star rating. We love those. So, hey, everybody, I just want to welcome you back. We're doing Give It to the People live, but we're actually doing it really live. So this is the first live where we've recorded it in the studio.
Really?
And so, yeah, I mean, because, you know, when we used to do it, we had a different studio. So now this is the first one in this studio. We have somebody in here. So you're the first one on the orange couch.
Hey.
So, hey. So for today, just to let you know, what happens with Give It to the People is we focus on shining a light on Black businesses, BIPOC businesses, women-owned businesses. And we just have somebody in the house who is super dynamic. And let me tell you how we met. So we're on the Black Wall Street Forward Council together. We are part of the Durham Council. And they put 12 people together, right? I feel like this is the real world. They put 12 people in the house.
That's exactly how it felt. It was like 12 people in the house. We all met each other that day.
Yes. Yes. Didn't know who each other was going to be.
At all.
Because I don't think I knew, except for the person that was the lead on the council, I didn't know who everybody else was going to be.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't either.
You know, you walk into a room, and let me tell you why I knew I was going to love her immediately. So she comes in, I'm sitting in the back, you know, because I like to get a peruse the room.
She tried to look around to see who everybody is.
I did. And so I sit in the back, you know, I got my computer out because I'm like, you know, I'm a multitask if I'm at something. I guess we just got into the interview, y'all. So just follow along with it. And she came and she sat next to me. She was like, is anybody sitting here? I'm like, no, go ahead, girl, knock yourself out. And then she looked at me, and then I looked at her, and I was like, okay, hey. And she was like, I follow your podcast. So I don't even know how we got into the conversation, though.
I was like, do you do real ass affirmations?
And I was like, why, yes, darling, I do.
I was like, oh my God, I listen to it all the time.
So you knew I was going to love her anyway, right? So you should have saw me. Anybody that knows me knows. I was texting my husband. I was like, oh, why the girl on the team listen to real ass affirmations? So I was like, you know what? That is nothing but God, like just putting people together.
And you got to sit next to fly people because her hair was fly. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, she cool.
Yeah, so that's how we started this, you know, what do they call it? They call it bromance. So I don't know what a sister thing is.
Yeah, sis man. It don't sound the same.
No, that's terrible. Okay, whatever. But I think, you know, you can kind of tell like you're going to gravitate to people.
For sure.
And I told her, I was like, oh my God, once we got into it, we started talking, we started listening.
Oh my God, because really, where it was at was when so on the Black Wall Street Forward board, we were coming up with ideas, right? Mm-hmm. And so we had to like stick ideas on the wall, and we had categorized it, and our ideas were very similar.
They were.
And then I looked and I was like, well, whose idea is that? And she was like, is that your idea? I was like, that's mine.
And that just came together.
And then we was like, yeah, this gonna be it.
But let me tell you,
like, are you on my team?
Well, oh yeah, we did, because then we split up into 2 teams. But what was so crazy is my idea, because you know how we do the curated conferences, was a 1-day thing. Her idea was basically the same thing, except she wanted to do a series of things. And I was just like, well, why don't we just, you know,
combine these ideas,
put our ideas together, and that's how all of this came about.
Really?
So to me, it was like really like somebody else that's like thinking on the same level as what you're thinking. And so our goal was really to just kind of, like you said, move things forward, right? So what I love, hold up, first of all, you don't even know her name yet, right?
Hello, everybody.
So, Kenyetta.
I'm Kenyetta.
Okay, so
you know, this is how you know something, though.
How you just start talking?
You just start talking like, I've known her for 2-3 years. I met her
in October. October, November, December, January, February, 5 months.
And y'all didn't even know who I was. You would have thought we've known each other for a long time. But yeah, so my name is Kenyetta. Of course, a Black business owner. My company is called the Katalyst HQ, right? It's helping people do entrepreneurship your way, right? But really, I'm focused on helping people build customized IT solutions. So not necessarily websites, but more mobile apps, web apps, or anything that you can think about that involves that. I really help people go from ideation all the way to launch. So that involves business strategy, because everything starts with strategy. If you don't think that it does, you are sorely mistaken. So business strategy, help you understand how to product manage that product, and then also build it, software development. So that's what I do. Black woman in tech. Right. I didn't want to claim that for a long time, but that's because I was just tripping. I was really tripping.
That's interesting that you said that because it was things that I didn't want to claim. I didn't want to claim business coach because it seemed like all of the people at the time that were saying business coaches didn't know more than me. So I didn't like that name. And so I always think whatever moniker that you choose for yourself should be something that is intrinsically related to you, right? Sure. Like that should be something that you can embrace. But I mean, when it comes down to it, unfortunately, there still are not a lot of Black women in tech.
It's not. And it's not a lot of Black women that have access to development. So I'm also non-technical. So I have an MBA, but I'm not out here building software. But I have a development team. My strategic thinking is excellent, y'all. Like that's what I'm strong at. Understanding how to be able to manage and build a product is key. And I think people miss that all the time. And on the opposite end of that, it's funny because she said everybody was claiming it. She was like, I knew more than them. I felt like I didn't want to claim it because I didn't know enough.
Oh.
Yeah. So I feel like I didn't know enough to be like, oh, you are a product manager or you really you're leading other teams to develop these products because I hadn't done it for 25 years or I wasn't a director at large organizations and I was just really not giving myself any credit.
Do you feel like that was imposter syndrome or do you feel like, okay, you do?
Very much so.
Okay.
I felt like it was, if I could, the best way to explain this is I felt like I was always missing something. So I was always looking back, trying to figure out, I know I'm smart, but I am not as far ahead as I think I should be. And then I'm looking so far ahead, like, man, I don't even have what it takes necessarily to get to where I want to be. And what was happening is that I was missing the moment right here, right now. And it just didn't lend itself for me to take advantage of the moments that I'm having right here, right now. And I think now that I am more present with that and understanding who I am in this moment and knowing that, yeah, sure, there's maybe some things I have now, but that don't take away from what I am today. And who cares about the past? It is what it is, right? It has changed the way I fundamentally look at myself, how I think about what I do, and the people I can help, and how I can make an impact.
I love that. Now, one question that I want to ask you, because in our meetings, you use this one word in such an eloquent way, and what it does is it refocuses people, because what she does is explain to you, so this is what I don't do. Explain to you, it's kind of like she's sunning you a little bit, so everybody that knows what that means, but she's teaching you, but she has this way that's like, oh, maybe I should listen, right? So what she does is she's like, I'm going to explain to you why what you're doing needs to be done this way, because we can expedite this process, right? So the word is agile, okay? So she uses this word, and it's such a good word, because it's explaining the process, but it's also, she's telling you, okay, we don't need to worry about that because we need to be here. So can you explain to them the agile process?
For sure. All right. So if you're not in technology, being agile is a set of principles that you follow, right? What it allows you to do is be able to communicate effectively with people around you and build things in an iterative way, right? So for me, I don't look at perfection. I look for progress, right? Not perfection, but literally for progress. And and what I do is I reiterate keeping the focus on progress, right? And so she's right. I just have a way of writing people in. And
it's masterful.
Helping people stay focused on what the direction is at hand. A lot of times what I often do, and I'll start off the conversations like this is like, what are we trying to do? Right? And so I let that conversation flow. And then once we make a decision, that's the decision we're going to be driving with. And if we need to change directions, we need to change directions after. If we realize that what we're doing not working, we need to change directions, and we could do that. So I'm not a hard ass about that. What I am a hard ass about is staying the course if we've decided to stay that course. And so I just delicately after managing people, and because managing people is like herding cats sometimes, especially adults. If you think kids are hard, or 3 and 4-year-olds are hard, imagine 40-year-olds who have their own opinions about everything, right? That's very different, right? Kids, they understand they may have a place. 40-year-olds, I'm grown. You can't tell me. But I need to tell you for this reason, right? So
Did you see?
Right. So I just
you see how she just changed? I want y'all to pay attention. The whole trajectory.
It happens all the time, and I never notice it. But
I love it.
Working agilely is just that. So You know, and also knowing when to lead and when to follow. And I want to say that about Chisa. She's going, if this is her strength, she definitely took the lead on this. And I am not in my ego too much to know when it's time to follow. Right. And I think people need to understand that this necessarily planning an event that we're doing for Black Wall Street Forward was planning an event is not my thing. But I made it very clear when I realized it was Chisa's thing to say, where do you need me to fit into what I can do there? Like, I walked up to her and said, hey,
amazing.
Listen, I realize this is what you do. Where do you need me to fall in? How do you need me to help support? Where do you need me to drive? Because that way I know what my part is, right? So I can be accountable for that portion of it. And so doing Agile, that's what you learn, right? Agility is about understanding sometimes your position on a team and when you need to leverage being the leader and when you need to leverage letting somebody else lead and you following in their direction. So I did that, right? And I think it's important as business owners is that we learn to do that. I think just leading to a business owner conversation, being a CEO, business owner, freelancer, whatever you want to call yourself, is understanding when it's time for you to really lead and when it's time for you to take a back seat, go find somebody else who knows what you don't, and let them lead and you follow that direction.
I love that. And see, to me, that is pretty much a guidebook in itself. Because I think the recognition of, listen, this is not my gift. Okay, this is your gift. But what she said was she asked some important questions and basically saying, how can I support you? Because I think sometimes we take on too much.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we may have thought that this was what we could do, but then our capacity changes.
For sure.
So what do you do if a person is, and I mean, you know, this is a really great question, I would say, what do you do if you see that your team is going astray, right? How do you wrangle those cats, right, back into line so that this way you can stay focused on that mission?
Oh, man, the first thing I always do is take a step back and is like, let's level set. I think it's important. I know people overuse that word, but I level set on the goal because what is the direction that we're driving towards? And then the second question I'm probably going to ask you is, are the activities that we're doing today driving towards what we're supposed to do or supposed to be tomorrow? Because if it's not the fact, then we need to start looking at what we're doing. Because every activity that you do is not going to be a return on ROI, but also every activity you doing you should not be doing. A lot of people do a lot of busy work and it's not productive. And so you gotta like get some of that shit off your plate.
Yes.
Right. So when, for example, if you ever see me in a meeting setting and I realize that this meeting is going left, right, center, I immediately said, hey, we need to stop. What is the focus that we need to focus on today? And then everything else can go into the parking lot. Because the purpose of this meeting is to do X, Y, Z. Right. That settles people down, bring people back to the center, like in yoga, right, and say, hey, let's get focused on the task at hand. Right? So that we can next say, what are the next steps that we need to be doing for the next meeting? Because what am I not looking for? Perfection. But I am looking for progress.
Yeah. Now, see, I think that could it be harder to do that if it's just you, right? Because when you have a team of people, you can see when it's like, you know, run amok, led astray. Right? But when it's you yourself, then you have to do one of the things that I talk about in the 90-day focus is self-regulation. I need to recognize that I'm out of control. Yeah. And then I need to bring me back to the point. And so for me, I'm going to just tell you what I do. What I do is I can feel that I'm getting overwhelmed. I can feel that my mind is all over the place and I can't clear it. And for me, until I can clear it, it feels like it is no progress. Like it feels like
you get frustrated.
I'm just doing stuff to just do stuff and I don't want to just do that. So to me, this is when I do procrasti-working, okay? So you're still doing work, but the work is really procrastination because that's not the things that you were supposed to be doing to get you to the goal.
So that's me.
Yeah.
I do that too. Or like if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I typically stop doing whatever I'm doing because I realize like my mind just is all over the place after that if I'm feeling overwhelmed and I feel like I'm not making any progress like you said. And you're right, procrastinating. I'm finding random shit to do that has nothing to do with the stuff that I actually need to get done. Yep. Right? Or going towards the progress that I'm trying to get, or going towards that goal that I'm trying to get to. But what I started doing to help me get through that is to, again, stop. Okay. I think people don't do enough stopping. I think people feel like because that they stop, then they are stopping to them is like stopping forever. For me, stopping for me is like stopping. I need to have a space where I can clear my mind to actually think clearly. Yes. And I can't, and a lot of times I can't push through that. Okay. Right? I can't push through and think through that. So what I do, I just stop. I might go watch some mindless TV, go take a walk, breathe, give myself a space of creativity, or give myself a space where I'm not even thinking about anything, and let things start to come to me. I think as entrepreneurs, you have to learn how to balance flow and force. Right? How do I balance letting things come to me? How do I balance pushing forward through things? Right? Because you don't want to get so comfortable to where you're stuck in a pattern, and you don't want to try to force everything either, because that's not always good either.
It's not going to feel good.
It's not. And it's not going to feel good to other people that you're working with. Right? Where's the balance of force and flow? Right? And so for me, the balance of force and flow is stopping and recognize, like, yo, I'm really pushing this way too hard. And not to say I'm not pushing myself in my comfort zone, because that's different. But I'm pushing myself in a way that's being unproductive at this time, and I probably need to take a couple steps back.
Okay. And I like that.
And start saying no. That's when I immediately... I had to start, then I get to the second phase is reevaluating what's on my plate, and then
taking some of those things off.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and have an accountability partner who tells me that.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend / accountability partner, and she literally told me that. She was like, yeah, that's, you feeling over, because you're doing too much.
Yep.
Take some of it off your plate. And then I would get a message a week later, hey, you take some of that stuff off your plate, and I'm like, okay. You ain't got to keep asking me.
Yes.
But you do need to keep asking me.
So that's how you'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. And I think that's, especially for women, we don't say no enough. You know what I'm saying? We try to put the cape on all the time. Nah, man, take that cape off. Right? Yeah. Start saying no to people.
No is one of my favorite words. Y'all know in the book it says no is a complete sentence. No, I think, allows you to say yes to yourself. So if I say no to this thing, and I mean literally step back from it. So for me, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a nap on you. That's going to be my thing. I'm serious. She was doing all of that activity. I'm going to take a nap on you, okay? And then I'm going to come back with some clarity, because for me, that nap is like the end-all be-all.
Yeah.
And then when I wake up, either I'm going to go back to it and I'm going to be refreshed, or I might do it the next day. But I like the idea of stopping, because when I am in an overwhelmed state, my stopping, a lot of time, maybe I don't even, sometimes I don't go to sleep, but I'll lay down.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like being horizontal changes up your whole brain pattern, right? Because now you are naturally calmer. Like, your body's not thinking about standing up and walking and moving and being on the computer and all the rest of that. And then when that happens, if I am in that foggy place where I'm, discombobulated, I can get on my phone and still work, but it's different because now it feels different, right? And then all of a sudden I can get creative.
You didn't changed up your work.
You have to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Now that is another thing that I agree with, is changing where you work all the time. Sometimes I don't want to work at my desk. Sometimes I do need to work outside and soak up the sun. The sun rejuvenates me. I need to be out there. Or sometimes I might need to take a meeting and I'm walking. Like, those things matter to me. I work right now. I let everybody know I'm going to eat on camera. I don't even have no qualms about it.
There you go.
People are like, oh my God. I was like, and I'm just, did y'all eat? Because y'all over here talking about y'all to skip meals. We ain't skipping meals. Okay?
Do you see that? So, now you know.
That's all I'm going to say is, if you see me snack up,
as long as you put it on mute, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Right. You might see me on camera, though, because that I actually don't care about. That don't bother me. I hate people apologize for, like, I'm sorry, I'm eating. And I'm just like, yeah, because you should. You are human.
I mean, actually, it's really the best time, because if we were in person, a lot of times people have lunch meetings, right? So what's the difference, right?
Yes.
As long as you are not, like I'm saying, I don't want to hear you eating. So put yourself on pause, and then when you get ready to talk, please make sure you don't have food in your mouth.
Right. If I'm like, excuse me.
That might actually make you smarter. I don't know. I don't know if there's any studies done about that, but...
Do you want me to be hangry on this call, or do you want me to be present?
And effective.
Because if I'm hangry, I'm neither.
Yeah.
I'm neither of those. But no, and that's getting comfortable how you need to do things. Like, we've been in a pandemic.
Yes.
Like, a whole pandemic then passes by.
Worldwide.
So what's the expectation here?
Well, I think the expectation, and so that's going to transition us into, our second part of this. So the original idea was to be a Black employee and then go to a Black entrepreneur. So this is transition because for our actual pilot, we're not going to be doing that event, but we are going to be focusing on the businesses, the 12 businesses that are present, that are a part of this. And then what's going to happen is Black Employee to Black Entrepreneur is going to happen April 22nd. Okay. And usually I don't say dates online, and you know that just because we want these things to be evergreen, but it's okay because we're going to use this video footage. So if you see us, then that's why you know it. And so the idea was, listen, you can be an employee, and then you can turn into an entrepreneur. You can do things simultaneously. And one of the things that she likes to say is, well, why do you have to choose? Why can't you do both, right?
Yeah, why you can't be entrepreneurship is your way. I actually had a conversation about this. I had somebody who I know for a fact is working, has their own business, made well over 200, 300K. Still has a full-time job. You know, she looked at me and said, I wish I would have did what you did and really became an entrepreneur. And I was like, and I started laughing because I was like, well, what does that mean? I said, what does that mean?
So she wanted to be full-time, not working at the company.
She felt like she was an entrepreneur, period.
Oh, that's wild.
Wild. But she's not the only person that I know that talks like that. So
they feel like because they have their day job, they're not an entrepreneur.
That's right.
Yet they're making money and they still have their job. I mean, if I had to go back and do it all over again, I guess the question would be, would I do that? And the answer is I tried. I mean, I'm being transparent.
The other question people need to say is, why do you put yourself in that box? Like, there are people who want to work and own and don't want to give it their paycheck, and that's fine too. And there are people who's like, you know what? Listen, that is not for me. But I think it is a both and not an either or. And I think if people would get out of the mindset of thinking that something has to be a both and, it's like, you working for the man, I can't believe you doing that. Why does that even matter? Are you going to help them start this business or not?
Are you going to help them pay these bills?
Are you going to help them live the life that they want to live or not? Like, at the end of the day, if none of those things exist for them, help them do what they're trying to do on the time that they got to do it. Right? That's it. Like, nobody's any less of an entrepreneur. If that was the case, then there absolutely have been no Black entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Black people have notoriously always been entrepreneurs in some form or fashion.
Yes.
Right? They've worked. And they've always had, we done ran numbers, we done got the barbershop.
Don't forget about the liquor houses.
The liquor houses, we didn't, you know what I'm saying? We've done all of those things. You are multifaceted. You are a whole person. It does not matter if it's full or part-time. And what is full or part-time? Like, who made these things up? Right? Like, take yourself out that box and realize, what does success look like to me? Define that for yourself, not based upon what society then told you what it's about, whether that is, go to school, get a job, have 2.5 kids and a dog, and that's successful. No, that might not be successful for you. It could very well be what Chisa's doing right now. I tried to work. That I realized, thank God, that was not for me. Right? That ain't for me.
I was good at my job, though. I don't want you to think that I was just like, they just...
But being poor at your job ain't what we talking about. You just realized that wasn't for you.
No, but I did get... Okay, so I am going to say... the one job, I did have some issues because this was back in the poetry days, y'all. Remember y'all Love Jones was out? Y'all know. Anybody that's around Greensboro, y'all know. So I used to be the one that made the flyers. Just let you know how long ago this was. And
you put them on horse? Would you put them on?
No, I was using the company's paper. And if you leave your print on the copy machine and then you forget it, oh, man, I got caught twice. And they were like, ma'am, you cannot keep using. But y'all know
this is not a business.
And I was like, oh, man. I was like, how could I forget? Like, I'm thinking I'm being slick. No. So I just knew, okay, one day I'm like, listen, I'm not cut out for this anymore. And then I just progressed. But I think the thing was...
I still wanted you left the flyers behind.
Because you have to put, if you copy it, I left it on the top of the copy thing. So that was my issue. I did it twice, and they were like, Chisa, come on now. But they knew that my work ethic was good, right? And I always did my work. So I'm just like, this is really a couple of sheets of paper. You know what I'm saying?
She made 200 flyers.
It probably was. But even if I did 200, they were quarter size, so I really only used probably like 50 sheets, right? Y'all got 50 sheets to give up. You a multi-million-dollar company. Come on, let me get those 50 sheets. Just a little bit of ink and toner. You know what I'm saying? And I was printing in black and white. I mean, come on. And then what happened was, too, I did think I was slick and I bought in color paper and they didn't have color paper in the thing. Okay. So that was stupid.
Oh.
But
Why we always got to take it to the next level?
Too much.
We can't just use the white paper that's provided. You know what? They got the copy.
Well, because the prints were gonna be in black and white, so then when you open up the thing and you left the color paper in the bottom, that's what I'm saying. They were two separate incidents. One was a thing on the top, the other one was leaving colored sheets of paper in the bottom, and they know they didn't have color paper. So guess what? Now you're just out here doing whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying, and you're making things happen, and you living your life. You know, that's the thing. So tell us real quick. When we're talking about the collaboration and kind of what Black Wall Street means to you specifically.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what made you say, I want to be a part of this and I have something that I can give to this particular effort?
So what made me really be a part of this is the fact that I was in my 30s when I found out about all the types of Black Wall Streets that there were.
Okay.
So I come from the Midwest, right?
Okay.
So that isn't always at the forefront. And not to say that I didn't know that, Oklahoma existed, but who knew there were so many, right? Durham, Greensboro. I mean, East St. Louis, where I'm not from East St. Louis. I live in Illinois, so I live really close to East St. Louis. And, that was a thriving Black community. And so really fully understanding history of that magnitude and realizing that if we're going to do that again, I need to be a part of that history.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be a part of something that is going to be reflective of community, funding, dollars, us coming together, right? Supporting each other in ways that will give us progress. And so that's why I wanted to be a part of Black Wall Street Forward. And so now that we're about to move into this event where we're going to be really focused on Black Wall Street mindset, which I think is key, right? Is community, progress, money, impact, purpose. Because I also want to clarify, you can have a purpose and you can make money. They do not have to be separate entities. And I think a lot of times we get that confused. You can do both. Money is a tool to help you make more impact. Right? So when I think about those things, I'm like, how can I not be a part of that? Right? How can I not lend a hand to the people that are trying to make it happen? So that's why I decided to join. Yeah. What about you? Why you decided?
Because I like to take over stuff. No, I'm just y'all do know that's the truth, though. No, I mean, I felt like, and I'm just going to be honest, and I've told people this before, I really feel like, they chose 5 cities. And Greensboro wasn't one of the 5 cities that was chosen. So it was Fayetteville, it was Raleigh, it was Charlotte, it was Winston-Salem, and it was Durham. And there wasn't a Greensboro one. And so I was asked to be on the Durham one. And I said, well, yeah, for sure. First of all, Durham to me feels like home. I used to live in Durham.
Yes.
And I tell people all the time, I feel like, yes, put it up, put the Bull City up.
I live there.
I feel like Durham is the blackest of the Black place as far as business and progress in the state. I know I've been to all of the other places, but I just feel like that's what Durham feels like. Like, it's a literal feeling in the buildings, in the places, in the events that are had, in the, community organizers that are there, and the events that are always had. So when I want to go to something, I'm going to typically go to places. It's typically going to be to Durham, and then it'll be to Charlotte, and then third would be Raleigh, right? And so the other 2 cities I don't go to as much, but I just think sometimes it is about finding out who else is there. So for me, the reason that I wanted to do it was when you said, okay, well, there's basically 60 new people for you to meet, right? When you talk about across the state.
I didn't think about that.
So I thought, okay, well, that means that it's 5 chapters, it's 12 people, so that's 60 new people. And even though I might not physically meet all of these people, now I would be in touch with some other people, which to me, one big thing that I love is influence, right? Yeah. And so I don't need to necessarily have the influence if I have a person that has the influence, and then that will open some other doors. And I would say that in these different chapters, they've chosen a wide variety of people, different ages, that allow you to say, okay, well, this person's been here for 30 years. This person just moved here. This person, has been here for 10 years. So I felt like the connectivity that I would get was going to be an important thing. It wasn't just about being on there. And, I love to do an event. So that was another thing that was appealing to me. But I can say the thing that I feel like, 2 things that were the most important. Yeah. One was the knowledge that I gained about the stuff that I didn't know about Durham.
Man.
That to me has been the most important part of this.
because there's a lot of things that I didn't know.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of things I didn't know from a lot of these cities.
No, and I didn't know that. So it was so much stuff. And so I would say that for anybody, if you're going to look online to see the things that have been chronicled, that to me is, that personally has been the most important thing. But then professionally, Kenyetta is probably the most important thing. I'm not even playing with y'all. Because I think that for type A personality, Black confident women, okay, all of those things have to be in place.
For real.
Sometimes it's hard to find another type A personality, Black confident woman, and you can both sit next to each other and you can already decide in 30 seconds that we're going to be friends, okay? Like,
Facts,
I like you.
Facts.
I like you.
Like, we exchanged numbers on the first day. It was like, we should just exchange numbers.
Just do it.
Yeah, just like, I'm going to call you. Like, that's how it really was. It was.
But you know how people say that and then it doesn't happen? And so then for us to be sitting here, you know what I'm saying, in the Give It to the People studio.
She was like, we still need to record. So she told me I need to record this video. Okay.
Yes.
Very clear. She's like, you need to record the video.
And it was going to be online.
It was. And then we met last week. We met up last week with our whole team. And she was like, oh, you still need to record. And she was like, oh, but I won't be available. And she was like, I'll be in Greensboro. I was like, I'll come to Greensboro.
We'll travel.
Like, listen, I don't have no problem jumping in the car. You know, that's just not a problem of mine. So it was always good. We ate tacos.
Yes, we did. It was good.
I mean, we got a lot of stuff accomplished today.
We did. We really actually did do so much stuff. And let me tell you what else too. This one right here, everybody knows how I am about time. She was here hours before I even thought she was going to be here.
Because I was scared I wasn't going to be on time. Listen.
She was like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm here. I was like, I got an appointment at 10:30, but okay, come on in.
I really thought the appointment time was 10. So I had really been in Greensboro since 9:30. So, because I want to be very clear, I ain't on time for everything. Okay? And if anybody, my friends see this, y'all already know. So there was priority here because I was like, I can't be late because she's already put in my mind that she doesn't like people who are late. So I was trying to be on time. I was too early.
Yeah, because when she sent it, I sent her a message. I said, oh, Lord. It's actually what the message said. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm in the building. I already am here. I'm just setting up the stuff.
Like, literally, I was like on a roll and now, like, I was here by 9:30. I went and got coffee somewhere off Elm Street, coffee shop. You know, and then I was like, I'm outside.
And I was like, okay, well, come on in. So I just feel like that was good. But you know what? The lesson in that is, and this is just me, teach people how to treat you. Okay? Teach people how to treat you.
Because she didn't ever say it directly to me.
She was
But
so
she
early.
said it enough for me to be like, be on time. Yeah. So that's what I did. She kept saying, we'll be right. She was like, because you know, my events start on time.
Everything.
No, when I do this, it starts on time. You know it starts on time, and I'm like,
I'm going to be on time.
Shit, okay, I got to be on time. All right.
And then not only was she not on time, she was super early for on time. So her on time was like, I'm going to be hours early. But I love that and I appreciate that. And so that's one of the things where, you know, when they also say sometimes if you're on time, you late, you know, I've heard people say that. I'm just like, listen, what time you say we'll start, I'm going to be there at that time. But that was an important factor. And the other lesson in that is she was like, I will get in the car and come. You know, I'll come down there. You come to me, I'll come to you. And I think that that's an important thing because a lot of times when you look at some of these things with the Black Wall Streets and even in the state, it's people that will say, well, I'm not going to that city or that's too far or whatever. And you sometimes have to cross the border in order to get the access to the things that you need, you know? And so then when she came, we had another person that was here. She was able to meet her and then get some other connections to some other things. And it's just like,
it was good.
That's what Black Wall Street is supposed to be about, right?
That's exactly what it's about. That's exactly what it's about, is making those connections and authentic connections. I think that's important. So not just to show and be like, what can you do for me and what can I do for you? And some relationships are like that. Let's not take that off the table. There are some relationships that are like that. And then there's some that you want to build authentic relationships with. It's just natural and evolves over time and giving it that time to be what it's going to be. So I think that I buy into that all the time, right? And just understanding where you are with people and how I can get to that level, or if not, you know that I'm in the moment enough that I can accept it and be okay with what it is right now and be present with that.
I love that. So if you want to leave the people with like one final thing that you want them to know, it could be a quote, it could be a one word, it could be a one thought. What is the one last thing you want to let people know?
Do entrepreneurship your way. I think that's the most important thing. Stop looking around you for definitions of success and just really sit with what you want and figure that out. And if you don't know, that's okay too. You got time to figure it out. Right?
I love that. Okay. So everybody, thank you. This has been another wonderful episode of Give It to the People Live.
I am so excited about this.
I can't wait to put this out. So this will be coming out. We'll do, you know what? Okay, I think we're going to wait till like the 1st of March and we'll kick off Women's History Month with it.
Oh.
Ta-da, right? So, because normally we do the podcast, and so I'm still going to record on Monday, but we'll kick it off on the 1st of March, and this will be how we kick off Women's History Month, because I don't think it's anything better to kick it off with than 2 Black women out here doing what they do, unapologetically, but respecting each other and recognizing the beauty in each other and what each other brings to the table. And it's no conflict.
None.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, what can I do for you? What can you do for me? What can we do for each other? How can we make this better?
Show up on time.
Come on now. Yes. Because there's always some great opportunities when you do that. Like, I mean, that's amazing, So, all right, everybody else, make sure that you always show up and show out and continue to give it to the people. Bye, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Give It to the People Live. We're here to help you with your mental wealth. And if you're looking for future events, you're looking for past podcast episodes, you're looking for our webinars, or anything that can help you grow your business acumen, make sure that you visit giveittothepeople.com.